Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another movie review in our French Extreme Horror Week. So tonight we're looking at another one of the sort of quadrilogy, if you like, of films. We're looking at Inside. Obviously, like I said to you before, there was like four real sort of like extreme films, all came out the same period of each other, and it's sort of like looked as a sort of quadrilogy. You got Switchblade Romance, which we've already looked at, Inside, Martyrs, and Frontiers, and we're reviewing three of those movies this week. Now you must think, well, what about the other one? I've already done one a few months ago, so I've already done Martyrs. So Martyrs is already on my channel somewhere, so I'm not going to re-review that again. So tonight we're looking at Inside. This is the second sight release of the movie. Give you a bit of information about the film before we move forward. Right, so Inside's French film, made in 2007. Runs for 82 minutes, certification of 18. Directed by Julien Marby and Alexandria Bastillo. It's also screenplay was written by Alexandria Bastillo. Stars Beatrice Dole, looking absolutely stunning in the film, and Alison Paradiso. Now I don't know if Alison Paradiso is related to Vanessa Paradiso. I don't know. Don't know. Cinematography is by Lawrence Barris, and music is by Francois Orns again, who did the music for Switchblade Romance. So yeah, this stars the wonderful and stunning Beatrice Dole, and she stars in like the villain of the film. Now this film is based on like around this pregnant woman, and the film starts really strange. We see like a the inside of a womb, like an animated inside of her womb of the baby, and then the baby gets bashed against the side of herself, and then we get viewed outside the normal, and it's a car crash, and the woman's been in a car crash, and so and her husband or whatever, and we see some very grisly pictures of them, like almost, well, he's dead, but she's like really heavily wounded, the woman, and she's sort of like laying there heavily wounded. And then we don't see the victim of the other car yet, and then we sort of cut to like I think it's about 4 months later, and we're at the hospital, and she's having like a scan, and her baby seems fine, and it seems you know, live and kicking as we see it in the scan, but she seems really depressed and down. Well, she would be, because she's just lost her husband or partner, and also, you know, so her life has changed dramatically. It was going to change anyway with the baby, but now it's changed even dramatically again. So she seems really depressed, and she's at the hospital at this appointment, and we see some very strange characters. There's a very strange nurse that comes and sits by her when she's sitting in like the waiting room, and she starts smoking a cigarette next to her. And I think that's just disgusting. You know, you wouldn't do that if you were a nurse. Anyway, she sits next to her, starts smoking, and she tries talking to the woman, and sort of almost putting herself up like that, you know, with all smoky breath. And she just turns around and says, "Well, fuck you," and then the nurse walks off. But I would have done the same, to be honest. So it's really strange. And then we see her in the park looking at other families, like with young children, and she gets a camera out and starts taking photographs. So she's a photographer. So she starts taking photographs of these families and stuff. And then she's joined by a man on the bench. He's like wearing glasses and that. First of all, we thought it's just a stranger, but it's not. It's I think it's a family member, and he's talking to her, saying what you could do at Christmas. It's based just before Christmas, and she says, "Well, you're gonna spend it with your mother." She said, "Well, I really want to be on my own and spend it on my own." So she seems really down, really depressed, and then we join her at her house, and she's talking to, I think, a mother on the phone, saying that I just want to be on my own, sort of thing, and all this, and telling about the weird things that have been happening, and all this sort of strange thing going on. And she starts relaxing at her house, looking at photographs of her and her husband, and all this sort of thing, feeling really down and low on herself, which you can completely understand. It must be absolutely devastating for her. And then she hears a ringing of the doorbell when she's upstairs. So she goes to answer the door, and they also start banging on the door really loud. And so she looks through the little peephole, and she can only see a silhouette. She can't see who the person is, so she won't open the door. She asks who it is, and it's another woman. And this woman is saying to her that she come in to use her phone. Her car's broken down, and she's really, really reluctant, because to be honest, I'd be the same, because the way she knocked on the door is really aggressive, really loud and aggressive, and she won't let her in. She said, no, I can't let you in. Try one of my neighbours. My husband's in the bath. My husband's asleep, and all this sort of thing. And the woman at the door says, no, he isn't, Sarah. That's the woman's name. Your husband's dead. So this person knows who she is. So she's definitely not going to let her in. And she keeps persisting, knocking on the door. And then when she goes and avoids her, she goes to her front room. And then through the silhouettes of the French windows in that room, you can see the woman standing outside lighting a cigarette. And you can just see, and it's really, really well filmed, because all you see is like her face light up when she lights up her cigarette. And it's Beatrice Dalle, and she looks stunning in this film. So she just stands there looking at her and looking at each other. And then Beatrice Dalle punches the window. Beatrice Dalle character in this film is called The Woman. Okay, so she then punches the window and smashes the glass a bit. So then the woman phones the police on her phone, saying there's someone outside. Don't know who she is. She's trying to get in and all this. She's on her own. She's pregnant. And then so the police turn up. And by then, the woman's gone. So the police have a quick look around and stuff like that. So look, we'll come back later and check on you to make sure that she's gone. She's probably just some sort of a, person, this horrible person now left. But we'll come back and check on you later. So they go off, and she shuts her window, and she goes back to her sofa and sort of drifts off on the sofa with her cat, watching the television. And as she's doing that, you can see behind her the silhouette of Beatrice Dalle. She's actually in the house now. And it's really well filmed. As she sort of like, she doesn't see it, but as she gets up to sort of like sit up and get up, the woman, Beatrice Dalle sort of walks backwards slowly, and she disappears into the darkness. It's so well filmed. It looks amazing. And then by the time she gets up and turns around, there's no sign of her. And then she goes up to bed and goes to relax on the bed. And her stomach seems about like she's got 4 kids in there, not one. It's ginormous, absolutely ginormous. Anyway, she goes back to the bed. And then she's laying on the bed, and the next thing we see, Beatrice Dalle is looking over her on the bed. But she goes out and has a look around the house. Beatrice Dalle goes through all the drawers and stuff and finds a huge pair of scissors. Then she goes back up to the room while Sarah's asleep. She pulls like her t-shirt up over her belly, and she sticks the scissors into her belly button, which wakes Sarah up. And then there's a fight going on, and Sarah's starting to bleed, and also Sarah gets a stab across her mouth there. And then that's when the film changes into this sort of really violent, a very gory and extreme house invasion, if you like, because she's then stalked by the woman around the house, and she locks herself. Sarah locks herself in the bathroom, and the woman's kicking and kicking and kicking at their door and plunging the scissors trying to break the door down with no success whatsoever. So and from now on the film is non-stop, full-on violence and stuff like that, because people come to the door, the police return, her relative, the one with the glasses that I told you she met in the park, turns up, her mother turns up, and all these unexpectedly shocking things happen that you don't expect, and I'm not going to tell you what happens, but I'm not going to tell you who this woman is. But she seems very interested in her baby. That's all I'm telling you. So that's the synopsis of the film. So what do I think of Inside? It was absolutely amazing. I absolutely loved it from start to finish. Absolutely fantastic. The pluses of this edition, it looks amazing. Absolutely stunning looking film. Really cool, really well shot, really arty, sort of very sort of French in style. The actresses are fantastic. Beatrice Dalle is amazing. I've always loved Beatrice Dalle. Anyway, I remember back in the day when the first film I think I saw him was a film called Betty Blue, and that was years ago in sort of like 80s, I think. And she's hardly aged a day. She looks incredible, and she plays an amazing villain in this film. It's all well acted. It's extremely suspenseful, really suspenseful. 200% disturbing. There's some extremely disturbing scenes in this film. Very disturbing films. It's not an easy watch. Okay, if you've got a weak stomach, or you don't look violent, you don't like violence that looks really quite real, you won't like this, because the violence looks really real and stuff like this. We're talking all sorts of things, stabbings, headshots, all this kind of really bizarre. And if you've ever seen Martyrs, like the first half an hour of that film with the violence of the family in the house, it's like that, but more extreme. Okay, and it gets really extreme, and you end up thinking, no, please don't do, no, God, no. You like that, you can't be watching some of it. It's like that. It's really right, and it's extremely gory. You know, some parts of the film made Terrifier look like a picnic. You know what I mean? It's that kind of bad in some parts. But I loved that. I absolutely loved it. I was thinking, yes, this is right up my street. So I'm going to score this film an essential watch and give it a 10 out of 10. To me, it was fantastic. But although I'm saying that, okay, this is not for everyone, guys. It is extreme violence, you know, especially if you very sensitive about violence towards women, a pregnant woman and stuff like that, because there are some clips in the film when the violence is happening, when it sort of cuts back into the animation of the child inside the womb and what it's going through, and that can be, oh, the poor thing, you know, not even into the planet yet. And so it can be a little bit like that. So if that's not for you, it's not for you. But if you don't mind that, then it's an amazing film. It's a roller coaster. It doesn't stop. There is no slow. The only slow movement in the film is from the accident up to when the woman knocks on her door, which is probably about 10-15 minutes. But the rest of the film, it's non-stop violence, suspenseful moments, shocking moments, and sort of gripping edge of the seat moments. And then the fucking thing ends, and you think, oh man, just wish it was longer. You know, it's only 82 minutes, this film, so it's like an hour and 22 minutes, something like that. So it's under an hour and a half. But to be honest, because it's so full on, it's I suppose there's not a lot else they could have done unless they slowed it down more. But to be honest, I quite liked that this was more of a roller coaster film, because a lot of the other films, horror films I watch, are quite slow burns. This is nothing but a slow burn. Now, I've seen other reviews about this film before I brought it, a few channels that I watch, and they all say, oh yeah, it starts off brilliantly, but in the ending, oh, I loved the ending. I thought the ending was fantastic. There was not one thing in this film I didn't like. So this just goes to show that although some people on channels you like to watch and their reviews sometimes mean something to you, doesn't always mean it's right. You're going to feel the same, because I feel the complete opposite. I loved the ending of this film. I thought it was fantastic. It's just so cool. The whole way the film was set up, like, first of all, you got this woman really depressed from this accident, and then she doesn't want to know her family, she doesn't want to know anyone, she just wants to be left alone. And she goes home, and then we get that sort of like, almost like The Strangers, and like, all those sort of little bit of home invasion, sort of this person that wants to get into this house, but why? And then when she's in, she's incredibly violent, merciless, and an absolute killer, you know, and doesn't care who she kills. And she's got one thing on her mind, and that's how the film plays, and it's incredible. What an amazing setup, and what an amazing film. Inside, 10 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below. Yes, there's mixed views of the ending, because I don't know, when people said, oh, the first part of the film was so cool, it was so great, so intense, and you know, and then it just sort of like, it lost itself. No, it didn't. I think the ending was absolutely perfect. I don't know what they were watching. Maybe they were watching something else, but I thought it was fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. I'll say I highly recommend it if you don't mind violence. Okay, this has got a lot of gore in it, but I think the violence overtakes the gore. There's more violence and gore in this. Although there are some really gruesome scenes, guys, of people, a pregnant woman getting her stomach sort of cut open with scissors and stuff like that. So it's not for everyone's look, and it does look real and stuff like that. So it's not for everyone. So please, at caution, go into it. Loved it. Absolutely fantastic. Guys, to the next review, which will be, let me dig it out, I've got it here. The last one in this is going to be Frontiers. So we're going to be looking at that one next. Our last one in our French Extreme Horror Week. But wow, what an absolute amazing film. Switchblade Romance was fantastic, and a great little slasher, but nothing new to the table. So I gave that a 9 out of 10. But this brought something completely different to the table, and it was amazing. And it's got Beatrice Dole. She's worth 10 out of 10 alone. Anyway, guys, until the next video, please check out some other horror channels. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Manville Film, RS Designs, Pizzlewell, I Am Ice Lord, Cat Watches Horror Movies, and Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House. Till next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.